Hey, welcome back to the Small Business Mindset. I recently celebrated a milestone birthday. I turned 50. And I will be honest with you, leading up to that date, I had a lot of anxiety over it. And not so much that I cared about the number of my birth date. I don't. I mean, it's a number, whether I'm turning 30, 40, 50, you name it. This one was interesting though, because it allowed me to reflect big time on not only my life leading up to now, but also what does the rest have in store for me? I don't know many people that are 100 years old. So if I think about where I am in my lifespan or my physical being here on earth, I'm probably halfway or a little over. And what does this next chapter look like? If I could give you any tips of advice, whether we're talking about your business, your life, your family, how you live, I hope this episode is for you. And I hope you can relate to some of the things I'm saying. Some lessons learned for me in the last 5 decades of my life, not 50 decades of my life, and 5 decades of my life. I think I've always been somebody that has an achiever mindset. And for those of you that have ever taken an Enneagram quiz and figured out where your Enneagram number is, I'm an Enneagram 3, which is an achiever personality. I get so much joy writing things down, checking them off the list, accomplish, going to the next one, constantly moving. And it's been fun. And I would say the journey for me has been almost more enjoyable sometimes than the success when you get there, because it's the working in the middle, which leads me to the reflection. I think at 50 years old, I've had a lot of experiences, some of them amazing, some of them not so amazing. I've had such memorable moments, some surprises, and really some insanely gratifying experiences in my life. And I think at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, or when you retire, or whatever that milestone is for you, I hope you'll remember a few things. One, success is not all about the money you have in your bank account. Yeah, you need to make the world go around and pay your bills and stuff like that. But I will be honest with you, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, a billionaire, or you're just getting by and you have some good savings and, you're doing just fine. You're living a life that you like. There's nothing wrong with that. Wealth can look differently for anybody. And when you think about, achievement and success and working so hard and getting there, getting to the top, getting to the pinnacle, getting to that, what does that mean for you? I hope you remember that success can be as simple as having great relationships with people that are meaningful and long lasting, whether it's your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community. They can be here in person and live next door to you, or they can be miles away, but maybe you connect, online or in a virtual environment. You get the chance to have experiences that expand your horizons. And it doesn't mean that you have to travel the world. If that's what you want to do, then there's wonderful ways to make that happen on a budget, even. But you are stretching yourself. I think in this political environment, especially, I think we kind of treat each other a little combatively, meaning we kind of use I don't want to talk about politics. I'm not saying that you do, but what I encourage you to do is seek out opinions and relationships and lifestyles that look different than yours. I think it's all too common that we don't get out of our own bubbles sometimes, and we miss out on so many wonderful, joyful things. I encourage you to be curious. Curiosity is free. All it means is that you're asking questions of something. Seek to understand. I'm a member of our local Rotary Club, and believe it or not, I'm one of the younger people in the club. And I was visiting with one of our older members who's retired the other day, and we were talking about travel. And I love to travel. That's one of my passions. And travel allows me to have really fun experiences with the people that matter to me because I love to bring them along, whether it's my husband or friends or family and things like that. And we have such cherished memories of enjoying our travels together and having new experiences, a lot of times that were unexpected and unplanned along the way. So this gentleman and I were having a conversation about where is our favorite travel place. Now, for me, on one of my bucket list items, I would love to plan a trip to Italy. I've not been there before. And just like my birthday coming up, it seems a little intimidating to me because it's a country I've never been to. I can think of all the things I want to do. I've created a Pinterest board for it, and it's a little overwhelming. And so as I'm trying to piece together this trip, I've started getting really curious and finding and seeking out people that have been to Italy before and asking about their experience. So this gentleman at my Rotary group, I brought up the trip to Italy. I said, that's always been a place I've loved to go. Have you ever been? And this quiet, gentle, very kind older man says to me, well, yes, my wife and I have been to Italy 45 times. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Well, I just had the jackpot here just because I was curious and started asking some questions to be friendly and get to know this guy. He's been to Italy 45 times. And he went on to share with me, and his face just lit up when he was telling me. So that was a joy in itself. I got to experience him reliving a very special memory and experience that he had in his life. He got to share that with me, and that made me feel good. He told me all about when we went here, when we traveled there, places we stayed. We got lost along the way and ended up in this great thing. We took cooking classes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish I had all day to talk to him. But what surprised me, or maybe it shouldn't, because I was curious, I uncovered a treasure trove of information and a relationship with somebody that I'd seen every week, but I didn't know much about. And until I started asking questions, I would have never known that. And quite honestly, I'll probably have to bring a notebook next time and write down all the places that he's been and, highlight some favorites to help me plan my trip. But what a gift. What a gift just by asking questions. The thing is that I also think we go through our life sometimes and we don't notice the things around us that are there every day. And I think about, I office in the downtown part of our town, which means I have to park in a lot kind of down the street. And I usually have a little bit of a walk up to my building, which I enjoy because it's a great area of town and we have a charming downtown area. And almost always I pass somebody on the street walking down the sidewalk. That person might be older, younger, unhoused, but I make an effort to hopefully make eye contact with them. At minimum, I'm giving them a smile. And more than likely, I'm saying hello. And believe you me, if you've never tried that before, I challenge you. Take one day, everywhere you go, make eye contact with somebody and say hello. And a lot of times they'll probably act surprised and hopefully they'll say hello back, but I bet you'll at least get a smile out of them. Because what you're doing is you're acknowledging them, and how important for us as human beings to feel acknowledged and feel seen. We go out through our lives and it's easy to isolate, especially in this day and age of technology, and especially the worldwide pandemic that we experienced a number of years ago. I think it's forced us, maybe against our will a little bit, to be more enclosed because we don't have to leave our houses for anything anymore, quite honestly. We can work from home. We can shop from home and have every single item at our fingertips delivered right to our front door. We don't technically have to interact with any other living thing, which isn't really good because I think the interaction that we have or the physical touch that we have, even if you don't have people around that you can be physically close to, think about the pets. I know our dog is I call him my third child because my children are grown and I don't always get the physical contact from them on a regular basis. My husband's around, so I get physical contact from him, which is great. But how important that is to feel closeness to somebody. And sometimes dogs and pets can provide that wonderful closeness to you. And it's also a great, icebreaker. If you take your dog out or your pet out to a park or for a walk, I bet lots of people will feel like, oh, wow, I love your dog, or he's so cute, or reminds me of my dog, or they might tell you stories and there's something that you have in common. So there's a new experience to try. Have you ever been in a situation where you pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone, maybe unwillingly? I hope so. That's part of the experience of life. And that's things I encourage you. If you're somebody that has a growth mindset, and if you're listening to this podcast, more than likely you are, because we're kind of on the same trajectory. We're talking about small business growth and personal growth and all those things and how to be an amazing person and live life and build wealth and all that stuff. But if you are somebody that desires to grow, growth happens in all aspects of your life. And if you're not sure where to start, the best place to start is find something you've never done before and throw yourself into it. Whoa. Now, there might be, especially for me, I don't have any interest in skydiving. I've never done that before. It's probably going to scare the crap out of me if I ever get there. I'm not talking about something like that. But I am talking about something like call somebody that you haven't talked to before and introduce yourself. Walk up to a stranger at a networking event or a party, introduce yourself. Think about 3 questions you can ask them. Be curious about them. Your heart's probably going to race, your palms are going to get sweaty, and you probably might feel a little sick to your stomach, but do it. And because the more you do things like that, the easier it'll become. And honestly, you'll probably uncover a lot about yourself. I think turning 50 and getting older and experiencing lots of different things in life has taught me a bunch of different things as well. Clarity. So I think I have learned more about myself and the type of person I am or want to be throughout my trials and tribulations in life and stumbling upon things that maybe weren't great for me. I've worked in different professions. I've worked with different personalities, different bosses. I've experienced sexual harassment. I've experienced wonderful, advocates and mentors, all of the above. And those things have taught me great lessons. Some I don't want to repeat, but at the same time, many that I've been able to glean from and learn from and saying, that's why they're asking me this. That's why they're pushing me more. That's why their expectations are here. Not because necessarily they want to achieve something, because they see the potential in me. So I encourage you, finding clarity for yourself over time and understanding what makes you tick, but also what gifts you have to give to other people. Just like saying hello and smiling to somebody on the sidewalk, by you being a listening ear and asking questions, not only to understand, but to clarify where your piece is in this relationship, but also getting that person on the other side of the table to understand themselves is pretty powerful. I think educators, and I'm not calling myself an educator, but if you put yourself in a teaching moment, that will allow you to grow exponentially. Anytime we can teach something to somebody else, even if it's easy as how do you change a tire on a car, to how do you make a favorite pasta dish, to, hey, I'm going to share with you how I did this in my world, in my business. I'm an open book for people, and I love it when they call me up and say, hey, I don't know if you have time for me, but can I just pick your brain for 10 minutes? More than likely, I'm going to say, yeah, if I have the time for that, I would love to sit down with you. Because more than likely, they're a younger person and they reach out to me because of either, they want to develop a podcast, they want to go into commercial real estate, they want to start their own business. And I will tell you what, they might be just starting on that entire process, but a lot of times I learn just as much from them as they're learning from me. Because what I'm learning from them, when they're asking me questions about like, okay, how did you get started? And what did you do? And what are the steps? I'm like, well, here's what I did. But I'm also understanding what is interesting to them. And if I think about at any point of my life, I always want to understand a different demographic, whether it's a different age range, gender, point in life, area of business. I mean, what makes them tick? Because that tells me a lot about like, okay, what does my audience want to hear? How can I be more in tune with different people and different demographics and what's relevant and what's timely and what's interesting for me to learn about? It also kind of helps me with my kids who are 22 and 17 to not think their mom is old school. But what's relevant? I want to keep up with the trends and think about, what are things that keep me young and keep me relevant and, help me understand the path that our future is going towards, whether it's our, hometown or our country or our world, and thinking how things change pretty quickly. And what does that mean to me? How can I utilize those changes and understand that a little better? That's pretty cool. The other thing I want you to think about is think about life and how you can experience it with a childlike interest. So you might think, okay, really? Where am I going with this? Okay. Think about a child in your life. And if you don't have any children in your life, that's okay, whether they're your own or it could be a family members or neighbors or something like that. But I bet when you were little, you can remember playing on a playground somewhere or in a backyard. And it could be as simple as you saw a butterfly float by, or you were on a swing set, or went down a slide. Think about the absolute joy and innocence that you felt, or you've seen a small child feel, just of the wonder of it all. I think as adults, we tend to forget to incorporate that in our lives. So I'm going to challenge you for a second. I want you to seek something out today, this week, sometime soon, that brings you childlike wonder and curiosity. Now, some things you can do. Nature brings a great element to be able to do this. It could just be sitting outside wherever you are. If you're in a city, if you're in the country, or suburbia, you're downtown at your office, I don't care. Look outside. I guarantee there's some nature. There could be a potted plant in your office. There could be a tree growing outside. There could be grass on the side of the road. I think we all have a chance to see a sunrise and a sunset. Have you ever gotten up early enough to experience a true sunrise? To see the sun go from total darkness to peeking up over the horizon and lighting up the world? That's pretty cool. That's almost a miracle. I mean, that's something that's bigger than us. Conversely, experience a sunset and really revel in and admire the colors that you see in the sky and how, the light slips down, how the moon starts appearing, and appreciate that. My mom turned me on to this app a few years ago because she loves birds. And especially during certain times of the year, the birds are chirping all over the place at my house. And the app's called Merlin. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, great. I get to hear what the birds are and who's chirping in my backyard. But that app allowed me to record the noises, and it's a free app, and identify what birds are around. I was shocked about how many different species of birds exist in my area and on my property. How crazy is that? It allowed me to then slow down and think about, oh my gosh, there is this nature all around me and these animals all around me. A lot of them I can't even see, but they're chirping, they're flying around somewhere, they're in the trees somewhere. I can't see them, but they're there and they're living their lives. And by me spending a little bit of time, just a few minutes, and usually it's in the morning when I get to experience this, I appreciate the wonder that is nature. And now when I hear some of those bird sounds, because I've done it a few times, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. That's a western meadowlark, or that's a cardinal, or that's a robin making that noise. And I'm like, okay, where are they? I know what they look like now. I brought the picture up. Where are they? I want to find them. I want to identify them. I want to see what's going on. Are there more here today than were yesterday? Are they migrating to this area? That's a new noise. What did I hear? And experience the wonder of all of it. I think that will create opportunities for enjoyment, for experiences, and it makes those little moments when you do go to experience a new area, you can observe and be present with it. Kind of going back to my achiever personality that I imagine a lot of you are on this particular podcast too that are listening. We fly through life so fast. We want to get there so fast. We want to take the tour, check off the box, do the thing. I've been there. I took the selfie or whatever. Okay, I'm going to challenge you too. I think our phones are fantastic devices and technology that allow us to capture a lot of things and reminisce back on it. What I want you to do when you're traveling and when you're having a new experience, take a picture. Absolutely. And then put your phone down. Take one picture. Remember it so that when you go back and visit the picture later on, or you post or whatever like that, however you catalog those memories, you'll be able to say, oh gosh, I remember that time when we traveled to the beach. What a great trip it was. And that will probably trigger a lot of memories in your head, but you're not going to get to have the memories if you're constantly taking selfies of yourself. Put the phone down, have the memory. Put the phone down and stare at the water and dream and visualize and just wonder, watch the waves and say, what's out there? Do you think there are dolphins in the water today? Will I see a ship pass on the horizon? What's coming in the waves? What do you think that would feel like if I go running? Is it cold? Is it hot? What will the sand feel like underneath my toes? You are creating moments of calm, first and foremost, but you're also creating memories that are long-term, that anytime you go back and think about that beach vacation, because you're so focused on the here and now and experiencing those little things of nature, that will allow you to internalize that and marketing your memories. So when you are in a stressful moment, or maybe you're in the middle of winter in the Midwest, like I live, and everything's brown and dead and not green, and the sun doesn't shine as much as it used to, you can close your eyes for a minute, remember that beach vacation, and think about, oh, I remember how the sun felt on my face. And I remember how the waves felt as I was walking down the beach and I let them, touch my ankles and my feet, and how the sand kind of flittered away and I almost dissolved as every step I took. I remember when the salt water got in my mouth a little bit, I'm like, oh, that didn't taste very good. Or the fact that my body felt buoyant as I was kind of cresting over the waves and I just floated along, and I got a chance to say, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And what a gift it is to get to experience this. I hope as you go out into the next decade of your life and you experience those milestone things, that you remember three things. One, seek out amazing relationships, and you might be half the one to start it. I think all too often we rely on others. Well, they need to be the one inviting me, or I wasn't invited, or they haven't reached out, so why should I? Create the relationships in the life you want. There's nothing wrong than you being the instigator. You be the one to reach out. You be the one to invite, even if it's just, hey, do you want to go for a walk today? You want to pop in? I made a pot of coffee. Do you want to have a cup of coffee? Hey, I was going to go see that performance or concert or show this weekend. You want to come with me? That's all you have to do. Sometimes they're going to say no because of schedules or whatever. Keep asking. There's nothing wrong with that. Do the things you enjoy. At the other time, think about experiences and use the curiosity and ask questions to expand your horizons. The more we experience, the more we understand, and the more we allow ourselves to broaden our horizons and think, I had no idea I would love that so much. I didn't know until I asked. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great opportunity for me to engage in that. You'll never know unless you try. And third, when we're walking down the path of success and we're growing and we're doing all of that, growth can come in so many different forms. And don't worry about growth being perfect, because it never will be. I don't want you to ever say, I'll never make $1 million. I'll never have X amount of dollars in the bank. Maybe that's something you achieve, but ask yourself why. Why do you want to have that? What will that mean to you? Will that allow you to have different experiences or different relationships with people? Because quite honestly, you can have those experiences and relationships with nothing. There's no money in the world that can pay for you to have a great relationship or have an amazing experience that you remember for the rest of your life. So keep that in mind. Hey, go on, have a great day, have a great week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.